podcast. I'm so excited you're here. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. And you've been on the Bigger Pockets Money podcast, and I actually just listened to it, and it was awesome. How was your experience with that?
Thank It was really good, very insightful. It felt like I was heard and I felt like I walked away with actionable steps. So it
Hmm.
was a really great experience.
That's awesome. Could you give us a
Yeah.
little bit of background about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally born and raised in Texas, and my first introduction to like personal finance and real estate was when me and my mom we went to like this boot camp. This is when these gurus would upsell you to a $20,000 course, but we didn't do the course, but we ended up kind of doing like a boot camp with them where we got to look at flips and. I was 16 and all these words did not make sense to me, like ARV and equity, but what really stood out to me was when the guy who was kind of walking us through this and the other people was saying that this person made a profit of like 100K in cash. And I was like, that caught my attention. And that's like life changing money, but not only for me, but for other people. So then that kind of put the interest in me of definitely wanting to get into real estate
Hmm.
there. So yeah.
That's awesome. Have you done any type of like side hustles before you got your first property?
Yes. So my very, very first side hustle was eBay flipping, or
Okay.
basically you go to like a thrift store or a Goodwill. And for me, my niche was tech. So I would always go there and I would like see these speakers and things like that and like Xbox controllers and like Wii controllers, and
Hmm.
I would just flip them on eBay, like buy them
Hmm.
for $5, resell 20, 25. So
Hmm.
that was my very first side hustle.
Mm. I'm
Yeah.
glad you used the word niche because it's really important for someone to have their niche because especially whatever you
Mhm.
know and what you're good at. Mine was I recently got into golf and so I was flipping like golf bags and golf clubs and it worked like
Nice.
well for like side cash, but it wasn't anything like
Yep.
couch flipping or that I hear about
Yeah.
these days
True.
type of thing. But
Yep.
Mhm,
Same. That concept just proved to me, okay, it's possible to make money outside of a regular job. But that kind of gave me the first training wheels of wanting to work for myself, that entrepreneurial type side too.
mhm. So
Yeah.
before we jump into the real estate, you also do some music production?
Yes, yes, yes. So I got into
Mm.
music production back in 2014. There's an artist by the name of Tom Niche, and he would just post like videos on his Instagram of him like making the songs in his bedroom. And what really got me like inspired by that is because he was independent, like he wasn't signed to a label, and he just had complete autonomy and freedom. So yeah, that's how I got into it and was inspired to get into that as well. Yeah.
Mhm. And I listened to you had a song with someone that you did, and you have an awesome voice. Do you do a lot of
Oh,
your own,
thanks.
like, song creation or anything like that?
Yes, up until this moment, I've produced everything, mixed everything, mastered everything. But I'm learning about delegation. So I probably won't be doing everything moving forward just so I can have maximum output. But yeah, up
Mhm.
until this point, I've done everything. So,
Yeah.
so
Are you trying to have that as, like, a little side hustle as well?
yes, absolutely. That is definitely a current side hustle and just building that up. It's probably one of the most slower ones, but that's the one that I want to become the main hustle and for real
Okay.
estate to fund that. Yeah.
Mhm. That's awesome. How did you get started
Mhm.
into music, and do you play any instruments as well?
Yeah, so I play piano. That was my very first instrument. And how I got started was, of course, I took lessons when I was little. And also in my school, like growing up, we would have band class. So I was definitely involved in that and just the theory side, just getting acquainted with that language. So yeah, just growing up in school, that's how I got involved into to
Mhm.
music.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
So with real estate, we kinda touched briefly on how you got your start, but how specifically did you land on is your property here in Colorado Springs?
Yes.
Yeah. How did
Hmm.
you land on Colorado Springs being the area to go for?
Yes. So with me being born in Texas, I moved to Colorado Springs back in 2016. So I finished my last year of high school, and then I went into college. So it was just the area that I was in, and definitely a good place because I could see it. It wasn't like out of state. So that's where I landed, just starting in my own backyard.
Mhm. Did you go to
Yeah.
school at UCCS here?
I did. I'm currently on doing their online program.
Hmm.
But I went when I moved here, I originally went to a Bible college, and then now I'm in like regular 4-year
Oh, is
college.
that the one in Woodland Park?
Yes.
It
Yep,
is.
yep.
I know several people that have been there. Have you connected
Oh,
with
nice.
Lance Williams?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So he was actually 2 years ahead of me when I first started. So
Hmm.
it's kind of cool just seeing other people getting into real estate in that way
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
several people get into real estate after going there. I think they have like a good like financial or real estate type almost like an
Mhm.
event that they put on, something like that.
Yeah.
That gets a lot of people
Hmm.
involved. So those events are
Yeah.
great, and clearly the school does well for networking too, since there's so many people that know each other in
Yeah.
real estate.
Yes.
Mhm.
So it's really cool. I'm excited for Lance. I love that he's getting into real estate too.
Yeah. um uh so you have your first property here in Colorado Springs. How did you find it? And what's the property type? Give us the rundown on those details.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to give this book a shout out. So this was the book that got me started into real estate. It's The House
Awesome.
Hacking
It's a great book.
Strategy by Craig Sherlock.
I love
Yes,
all
it
the
is.
post-it
Go
notes
ahead.
you have on there. Always good to take notes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that, if I could credit one of the top three books that completely changed my life, it's definitely this one. So I remember I was living in Colorado Springs. I remember it was like kind of the COVID years. And I had just picked up this book, and at the end of each chapter, there were action items. And one of the things he was talking about was just getting started, even if it's in your own backyard. So just following each action item was like step one, get pre-approved. I was like, okay, I can do that. Let's get pre-approved. Step two, find an agent. Okay, I can do that. And I just did every step. Find an agent, walk through properties, vet them, run the numbers, just doing each step. It's like you can't help but to get into a property. So I did
Mhm,
all those steps, and I settled in a property here in Colorado Springs, which I'm currently house hacking, hence the strategy in the book. Yeah.
mhm. What strategy do you
Mhm.
use? Like long-term tenants, midterm? Is it furnished?
Yeah, so it is furnished. It's like a good hybrid between, I'd say, long term and midterm, just because it is furnished. But currently I am doing just long term right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, where do you do most of your marketing for that?
Yes. So I use apartments.com. It's like a good all-in-one website to,
I use it too. It's really
organize.
helpful.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. I like it. It's good. It's free, and it's good like training
Yeah.
wheels again. So like
When you're
for,
first starting, going for free is always
yeah,
good.
right. So it's helping me just, what am I looking for? Run like make sure rents are coming in. And then also there's another platform called roomies.com. That's
Hmm.
another platform I used in the past to find some other housemates. So those two definitely
Hmm.
are my top.
So it's furnished, but you still do long-term rentals for it?
Yes. And I can get like a slightly higher rent too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
How much
Mhm.
do you rent it out for?
Bedroom is 1,050.
Okay. And is it just two
Mhm.
bedroom or what's the layout?
2 beds, 2.5 baths. Yep.
Okay. That's nice. So
Yeah.
it has its own bedroom then as well, or bathroom. Sorry.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that something you were like, I need to have its own bedroom or bathroom when you were looking for your property?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I wanted to put myself in the shoes of who would be living and renting with me. I
Hmm.
mean, just to eliminate as much headache and as much drama as possible.
Yeah.
That was definitely something I was looking for. So, yep.
Hmm. Have you ever thought about doing like a midterm or short-term rental with it since it is furnished?
Yes, absolutely. So while I have this extra room rented out, I'm just getting educated in the specifically medium term rental space.
Hmm.
Like as far as how to find them, what they like, the kind of things that they would want when they're renting from you. So I'm definitely
Hmm.
getting educated on that, and that's something I plan to launch once I get into my next house hack.
Hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
what when you were advertising it, do you have how many tenants have you gone through so far?
Let's see. This is my third. Yep,
Your third. Okay.
my third
Um,
tenant. Mhm.
and do you advertise it as like private bedroom, private bath? Are there any other amenities that are going for it as well?
Yeah, basically like the kitchen, things like that, private
Okay.
bathroom. I think how I rented it to, 2 out of my 3 are military, and I'm close to
Awesome.
a base here. So
Hmm.
I would put furnished rental 5 minutes from the base.
Hmm.
And with that alone, I
Is
was
this
able
Fort
most
Carson?
of my yes, yes, yeah.
Hmm.
So most of my applicants were either traveling into town because they were going to be stationed here. One of the 3 was actually from out of state, so that was kind of my little taste into medium term, and
Hmm.
she was here for like a camp in the summer, but yeah, things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, that's what I like about Colorado Springs is so many military
Hmm.
bases around here. You get a lot of people coming
Yeah,
in and going out that are just here for the military. And my last tenant that I
yeah.
had for my furnished rental, he was moving here to go to Fort Carson, and he was in the middle of buying a property and just needed a place to stay for a month, and then he
Oh
moved
yeah,
out. So having the military
absolutely.
around is really helpful. What were you gonna say?
Yes. I was gonna say I also heard a tip which I think is very helpful, but it's basically like recession proof your rental. But
Mm,
basically I heard this tip from an investor. He likes to buy properties near either hospitals, military bases because or colleges because they are in a sense recession proof, and with bases it's guaranteed rent because it's the government. So when I
yeah.
heard that I was like, oh, that's really smart. So I accidentally did that.
Hmm.
That tip. Mhm.
And with the
Yeah.
government and bases as well, they are get stipend for their housing expenses, so you know that they're guaranteed to get
Yes.
paid money for your basically paying your rent, which works out well. So you know,
Right.
okay, they're going to be paying rent, and being in the military also just helps with people being very. I guess it just helps when you're doing your background checks. I've kind of
It
noticed.
does,
What about you?
absolutely. And yeah. And they also like to provide their sergeant or their immediate supervisor's name and contact information.
Hmm.
And another tip I heard from another investor was like, if for any reason they don't pay rent, you just call that sergeant, and you can guarantee they'll start paying rent again because it's
Hmm.
like just a direct reflection of the base and their honor. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So what are you thinking about for the future of real estate? What are your long-term goals?
Yes. So my ultimate dream goal is I would love to get into land development for the purpose of Airbnbs, like um, very unique styled Airbnbs. Like you probably think of the A-frames or things like that. But I would love to build very unique stays on the land and just start from
Hmm.
scratch. That's like the end goal. Just
Hmm.
do that. And I feel like it would challenge me too, because I don't know anything about that space. But
Uh-huh.
if someone has done it, that means I can do it too.
Hmm.
And then my immediate goal right now is to get into the next house hack, but a very dilapidated one that needs work, so I
Hmm.
can kind of burr house hack it. If that makes
Hmm.
sense. Yeah.
Awesome. And in the Bigger Pockets episode you were on, you were saying you wanted to do the 203K loan. Is that still your plan?
Yes. Yep.
Hmm. What
Yes, that is
could you
still
break
my
that down
plan.
for us and why you like that tactic?
Absolutely. So basically, FHA 203K loan lets someone put 3.5% down, a very low amount on a home that needs renovations, but the renovation amount is also included in the purchase price. So you would pay 3.5% down on that total amount. And the reason I like that is because it's not like an extra loan you would have to go get from a bank just to fix your home. It's all included. It's for a low down
Hmm.
payment. So that's something I'm looking at. And of course, there are other Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae have another product called the Renovation One or Renovation Plus. I may be mixing up the names. Basically, it's
Hmm.
not FHA, but it's still the same concept of putting a low amount
Yeah.
down, but the renovation is financed. Yeah.
Hmm. That's awesome. And what about Pueblo attracts you to that market?
Only reason I picked Pueblo because it was cheap. So I'm still thinking about that. I'm still
Uh-huh.
deciding on if I want to move forward in Pueblo or just do something here
Hmm.
in the spring. So yeah, just still deciding there.
Hmm. Yeah, I get a lot of people
Yeah.
that come to me that love the Pueblo market because it's a
Mm-hmm.
lower border and price to entry is a lot lower
Yeah.
to get into that market. And actually, the story I
Have you
have for you,
yourself? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go
yeah.
ahead.
So I met some people through Bigger Pockets the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they're we were talking and they're like, yeah, we want to invest in Pueblo. And I was like, oh, well, what about Pueblo attracts you to that market? And they're like, well, we listened to this Bigger Pockets episode and this girl, Tiffany, was talking about Pueblo and it was so cool and we just loved it. And so that's how we kind of got our
Hmm.
idea. And I was like, no way. I'm actually going to be talking with Tiffany today about like why she likes
Wow.
Pueblo and her strategies and stuff. So you're influencing
Yeah.
a ton of people about Pueblo and your real estate strategies, just so you know.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really awesome. I feel like, yes, definitely Pueblo is a low barrier to entry. It's definitely a market I can see myself doing flips in for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, in Pueblo, I've actually went to school there for 4 years, so I'm pretty familiar with the
Okay.
market. And is there an area
Mhm.
that you like best for people that they should invest in that area?
I do have an investor friend down there. I know he likes Pueblo North. I'm not too
Hmm.
familiar with the layout yet. I'm not so familiar with it. But I would say anywhere close to the community college there, I'd like to, because again, it's near a college, low
Hmm.
commute for a student. I'm just thinking in their mindset, they would
Yeah.
probably want something close and commute to school. So I think that'd be a
Hmm.
cool starting place.
Yeah. I like the north
Yeah.
area. And then on the east side, where CSU Pueblo is, which is like the university there,
Mhm.
not the community college, there's a
Mhm.
little section
Oh,
down
yes,
east
yes,
that I
yes.
really like as well. That's pretty cool. And for
Okay.
the same idea, all the students don't want to commute far because it is more of a commuter school than like a you live on
Okay.
campus type school. So just going right
Okay.
over like a couple streets would definitely be helpful to the students.
Yeah. Have
Mhm.
you yourself, have you invested in Pueblo at all or looked at all?
I haven't. By the time I was to the point where I wanted to start investing in real estate, I was like, I
Mhm.
do not want to invest in Pueblo because I had lived there for 4 years and was like, I need to
Yeah.
get out of this city and kind of move
Yeah.
on, is where I was at
Okay.
basically. Hmm.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Um, with your long-term tactic of getting into midterm rentals, um, why there was midterm rentals and short-term rentals, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. What
Yeah.
about that do you like compared to short-term or long-term rentals?
Of course, the high cash flow, yes.
It gets everyone's
But then I
heart.
also right. But I feel like the typical medium-term renter will probably, if I'm thinking of like a nurse, will probably still have the mindset of like a long-term rental. They just want something that's safe, stable. They can come home and just relax. But of course, they're paying more because it's like they're not living there for a year or
Mhm,
two, just like an assignment in and out.
mhm,
And then just with short term, I see that as more like an active business instead of like real estate and like passive. And I like that idea of really curating and creating a different unique space that you can't really find it in a long-term rental because landlords really want to make the space renter friendly versus with a
mhm,
short-term rental you can like kind of go all out on the design and the aesthetic too.
mhm. Do you do
So
any, like, design work, or does that interest you at all for the furnished rentals?
it interests me. Like
Mhm,
I find myself on like YouTube and like watching
mhm,
flips and like seeing people do garage conversions. I'm like, wow, this is
mhm.
all so cool. I want to
Yeah.
do this. So
You're just dreaming, like, "This is gonna be me one day."
yeah, yeah, like you got to, you have to. So
Tiffany, I
yeah.
noticed every time you think about what your, like, target market will be, you always, like, put you in, like, their head of, like, "Okay, if I was this person, this is what I would do." Do you do that a lot for any of your
Mhm.
other, like, your side hustles type of things as well?
I'd say I don't mean to intentionally, but I now that you say that, I think I do. I think I do because I like even when I started with the eBay stuff, like when I was 14, 15, I was like, okay, how if they open this package, how would they want to see it? They wouldn't want to see the item just flopping around in a box. So I'd
Mhm,
be like very intentional about putting it and wrapping it in like bubble wrap and like putting a note in there. Just like experience. Even though it
mhm,
was started that with something small as an eBay. I feel like
mhm,
just having that mindset too will help me like with the bigger things, like investing in things like that. So
mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I think no matter what business you go into, that's just a good thing to think about for the overall experience of the customer, whether it's a midterm
Mhm.
rental. And with short-term rentals, that's really important that you get the reviews, and that'll definitely help out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, nice.
Uh,
Thank you.
Last couple of questions for you. Do you have any good books that you would recommend to other investors out there looking to get started? Any that are real estate related
Oh,
or non-real estate related?
man, of course we all know the Purple Bible, Rich Dad Poor Dad, so I
Yeah.
won't say that. But I would say there's another book I have to pull off the shelf, but
Yeah. I'm glad you have a bookshelf though. I like that. Mine's more of
yes.
like a book like a cabinet, or it's in my dresser. It's
Stack.
like a book drawer. It's a book drawer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. You pull it out and you see all the
Yeah.
titles. That's cool. Yeah. I'd say for the person that's just getting started, like they don't know anything. Like if I'm talking to myself 5 years ago, they don't know what ARV is, what's a loan, what's equity. I would say like the first book to start is Set for Life. This
Mhm.
is like the comprehensive guide of everything like personal finance, but it leads to real estate. And then Scott talks about house hacking. So then after reading that, read this
Then
book,
you go
The
to house
House
hacking.
Hacking Strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're just wanting to play, someone is just wanting to play it safe. They don't want to flip. They don't want to get into short term, medium term. If they just buy one house hack it like once every 1 or 2 years, it's like you can't help but to reach like a higher net worth after 6, 7 years. So just those two, if someone was playing it really safe. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, that's awesome. I've actually never read Set for Life. I've always thought about it, but then another one comes up
Mhm.
that I'm like, I think this is more important right now, so I'm gonna read this one type
Yeah.
of thing. But
Yeah. It's like a foundational book, I'd say.
hmm
Yeah.
I kind of once I hit a couple foundational ones, I just skipped to other ones because I was like, oh, I need to
Right.
get into real estate. I need to know all this right now and just read as
Yeah.
much as possible, basically.
Mhm.
The last question for you. Do you have a powerful
Mhm.
quote that has changed the way you have looked at life or your business in life?
Yes. Let me pull this up real quick. But first of all, I feel like a common lie that so many people have believed is, the easy saying is money is the root of all evil, even though that's not how it actually said what it actually says. It's the love of money, like constant obsession with it is the root of all
Mhm.
kinds of evil. But the verse that really opened my eyes to want to get started investing and like building something that will last beyond me, it's actually a verse. It's Deuteronomy 8:18, and it says, "But thou shalt remember the Lord your God, for it is He who's given you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He swore unto you and your fathers this day." And what I like about that, it just breaks every kind of lie that we can't be wealthy. We don't have the ability to go and create something from nothing and see that fruit and that labor and that wealth be generated. When we hear it says that every single person has the power within them to get to create to invest and see wealth in this lifetime. So
Mhm.
I just really really like that verse, and that's what kind of broke that lie from my
Mhm.
head.
I love that, and I really like that it shows towards people that are just getting started. Like, you don't need to be the person that has hundreds of rentals like in a year or two. Like, you don't need to have those
Mm-hmm.
expectations. You just need to start with step one and slowly move and get going towards your goals at the end of the day.
Right. I heard a joke. It was I don't know, like in 2008 where when it was the crash. I heard a joke. I
Mhm.
was like somewhere in their 20s too, but they were like, "Man, I should have been buying real estate at 8 years old instead of
Yeah.
playing on the playground. I missed out." So when I read it like that, it's like, okay, yes. So
Mhm.
let's not be too hard on ourselves. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we're still young. We still have so much more to look forward to and to grow in our real estate journeys
Right.
as well. Mhm.
Yes. So, it's awesome.
Well, thank you, Tiffany, for joining. It was such a good time. Is there anywhere that people can find out more about you or listen to some of your music as well?
Yes. So, hopefully Tanner puts in this in this description because
I
my
will.
last
I
name is
definitely
very
will.
okay. But you can find me on YouTube at Tiffany Onwudinanti and Instagram at Tiffany Onwudinanti. And if you want to listen to any music that'll inspire you, it'll be Tiffany Onwudinanti. And Tanner will put this on the link so you can just click it
Yep.
and it'll take you there.
Hmm.
So
Definitely go listen. Tiffany has an amazing voice and you'll love it.
thank you.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
again, Tiffany.